Hello, good evening, and thank you for joining us on NTA Nationwide. My name is Kene Ima Aborike. President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, has spoken of the need for African countries to invest more in the education of their citizens as one of the surest ways of strengthening their institutions of government. He stated this at the annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, where he was the keynote speaker. Femi Okewo reports.
On the theme of the conference, which is Transition, Transformation and Sustainable Institutions, President Nana Akufo-Addo said while it may not be right to dictate solutions to various countries' problems, education has been proved to be a problem solver regardless of locations. He said now that African countries are all united in their quest to strengthen their political, economic, social and security institutions, a policy of mass education for their citizenry should be a veritable starting point.
Freedom and the principles of democratic accountability are strengthening the determination of Africans to build a new Africa that is neither pawn nor victim of the global order.
On the clamor for the rule of law, he called on the government and lawyers in particular to instill in their citizenry the need to embrace liberty and duty as behaviors that must go together.
This can be Africa's century. We can claim it if we believe in ourselves. It is time to hear the voice of the lawyers. It is time to feel their presence, not by dragging on cases interminably and using technical ruses to make gains.
Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, after the address, engaged in a conversation with the Ghanaian president on areas of mutual benefit between Nigeria and Ghana and as it relates to their interactions with industrialized countries. The 2018 Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association is the 58th edition of the conference. Femi Okewo, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has been commended for honoring its promise that no part of the country will suffer any neglect because of its geographical location. This was at the inauguration and handing over of the reconstruction of the Maska Earth Dam in Funtua local government area of Katsina State by the Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu. Dennis Adenguloye reports.
The Maska Earth Dam, one of the many ecological intervention projects across the 6 geopolitical zones by the federal government, is expected to address the decay and degradation of the dam that provides water for agricultural and other purposes for the surrounding communities. The project is being executed through the Ecological Fund Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Beneficiaries of the project thanked President Muhammadu Buhari and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, for the commitment shown to reviving the dam.
You can see that this is a very, very agrarian environment. People here, keep farming all year round. So this dam will help to keep them busy during the dry season. So there is a lot of impact, economic impact.
The Minister of Water Resources urged them to ensure proper use and management of the dam. In Katsina, Dennis Adenguloye, NTA News.
The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, in collaboration with the federal government, has taken a step in mitigating the effects of insurgents and conflicts on livestock husbandry and value chains for the Nigerian systems. This intervention is coming as the FAO is training livestock experts in Nigeria on the livestock emergency guidelines and standards to ensure high standards in livestock-based emergency responses. Justin Bemuni reports.
Reports from the CBN indicate that animal production, projected to become the most important in terms of value addition by 2020, presently accounts for 1/3 of Nigeria's agricultural GDP. And livestock rearing, a major livelihood in most parts of Nigeria, particularly in the north, which houses an estimated 70% of all ruminants and about 80% of the nation's cattle, is also a focus in the report. However, the potential promises of the subsector have come under serious threat in recent times, subject to an unprecedented range of challenges like climate-related shocks, volatility of local and global markets, armed conflicts, cattle rustling, and allied crimes. Consequently, the Livestock Emergency Guidelines and Standard Training are a set of international guidelines and standards for the design, implementation, and assessment of livestock interventions to assist people affected by humanitarian crises, especially livestock-owning households.
Let's, therefore, aim to support both saving of lives and saving of livelihoods through two key strategies: assisting in the identification of the most appropriate livestock interventions in emergencies and providing standards, indicators, and guidance notes for these interventions based on good practice.
Simply put, participants will learn how to, one, provide immediate and urgently needed benefits to crisis-affected livestock-owning communities. Two, protect the livestock-related assets of these crisis-affected communities. And lastly, to assist households in rebuilding their key assets so that they can recover in a timely manner.
FAO believes that timely and appropriate livestock interventions are key to boosting resilience and freeing households from dependence on food distributions and other forms of assistance. The workshop underway in Abuja is a 5-day program. Justin Bemuni, NTA News.
Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Obonaya Ondo, is to embark on an official working visit to the United States of America and Cuba from 27th August to September 8, 2018. The visit to the U.S. will afford the minister the opportunity to meet with Nigerians in that country to sensitize them on the numerous advantages of the Executive Order No. 5, which is to ensure the realization of the objectives of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, ERGP 2017 to 2020. In accordance with the Section 5 of the Executive Order 5, which hinges on capacity building, the minister is expected to take steps to encourage indigenous professionals in the diaspora to return home and use their experiences to develop Nigeria. The minister will, at the end of the visit to the U.S., proceed to Cuba on September 5 to honor the initiative of the government of Cuba to enable both countries evaluate the possibilities of cooperation in science, technology, and innovation. A statement from the Head Press and Public Relations Unit indicates that Cuba has developed some of the technology that Nigeria can domesticate to reduce importation in line with the Executive Order 5. The British Prime Minister Theresa May is expected to visit Africa for the first time since becoming Prime Minister in 2016. Mrs. May will visit South Africa on Tuesday before Nigeria and Kenya as part of a trade mission aimed at boosting post-Brexit fortunes and strengthening its global partnerships. Security issues will also feature on her agenda, as she is expected to discuss the threats of Boko Haram in Nigeria and the role of British troops based in Kenya helping countries fight Al-Shabaab's militants in Somalia. Mrs. May will be accompanied to the 3 Commonwealth countries by a 29-man business delegation and would meet President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja on Wednesday before meeting victims of modern slavery. Economic experts have called for the incorporation and sensitization of Nigeria's small and medium enterprises to maximize the benefits of the Nigeria-China currency swap. While describing the policy as model for Nigeria, guests on Good Morning Nigeria are optimistic that the teething problems at the takeoff of the policy can be tackled through continuous engagement with stakeholders. Lydia Sampson has the report.
Economic downturn a few years back, occasioned by falling oil prices and foreign exchange volatility, necessitated the need to come up with buffers to mitigate shock and stabilize the economy. This led to the signing of agreement between Nigeria and China on currency swap. Gaston Good Morning Nigeria say the currency swap is already impacting positively on Nigeria's economy. They however lamented that the volume of trading between Nigeria and China is actually higher than what is captured, stressing that only the formal businesses are qualified to benefit from the policy, hence the urgent need to completely formalize.
68.7 percent of trade imports come from Asian tigers, the Asian tigers, and over 70% of these 68.7 comes directly from China. Then it's very important that we should have had this even earlier.
Whether I would like it or not, we are an informal economy because the majority of business people in Nigeria are in the informal sector. Our system of economy has not enabled them to migrate from the informal to the formal. And that's one of the reasons why we don't get enough tax. It's difficult to tax the informal sector. All we need to do is begin to enable them. This is a policy that is good and can actually enable them to come to the formal sector where they can be able to use these instruments.
What will happen is the fact that the formal people who are engaging in this, because of the benefits of the exchange rate systems that they will be getting, obviously they will be able to land their goods cheaper. And at the end of the day, it's not everybody that needs to import. We can have a big wholesaler here that is importing, and other distributors can come and buy off them.
They call for the shutdown of multiple exchange windows to minimize differences between black markets and the official foreign exchange rates.
Goods are competitive internationally. Goods that come in through this channel will be goods of the best international standard that you get. And the only thing you can say is that Chinese goods may be cheaper, but they must meet the international standards. So dumping will not happen.
The position of China today in the global economy is such that every nation, not just in Africa, everywhere in the world, there is increased trade and interaction with China. So what we are doing is going to be positive for Nigeria. What I think we need to do more, and I want the central bank to do more, is to as well encourage exports as much as we can, not only to China, but to other countries. This certainly will reduce pressure on the exchange rate and will strengthen the naira.
The guests urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to continue consultations with critical stakeholders to enforce quality international standard of products to be imported from China to Nigeria. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Now, more than 6,000 internally displaced persons have returned home in Zamfara State. The Acting Director, Defense Information, Brigadier General John Agim, stated this in Guzau while addressing newsmen on the progress made so far by Operation Sharandaji. Correspondent Zarau Musa reports.
Security situation in Zamfara State was characterized by wanton killings, kidnappings for ransom, cattle rustling and armed robberies, which made life difficult for the citizens. Other security threats were imposition of levies on villages by bandits, harassment of farmers from their farmlands, and disruption of weekly market across the state. With the inauguration of Sharandaji in July this year, things started to change for the good. Briefing newsmen on the achievements so far, Brigadier General John Agim said his troops have succeeded in dominating most of the areas occupied by the bandits, thereby creating conducive atmosphere for civilian populace to live their normal lives. He also said Air Force has recently launched offensive that facilitated in neutralizing large number of armed bandits and destroying their camps. Some of the recoveries made during the operations includes over 20 sophisticated arms and ammunition, along with some dangerous local weapons. 3 kidnapped victims were rescued alongside over 500,000 naira as ransom from the kidnappers.
Robust patrols and armed escort around vulnerable villages and weekly local markets have built confidence in the community so that bandits no longer have freedom of actions, where they impose levies and harass traders.
Brigadier General Agim also stated that Zamfara State, which was bedeviled by insecurity, is now assured of safety of lives and property. In a bid to provide succor to victims of banditry, Operation Sharandaji has concluded plans to execute programs that will impact positively on the lives of the locals, which include sinking of boreholes, renovation of schools and hospitals, among others. General Agim called on people of the state to cooperate with Operation Sharandaji by giving them useful information about the criminals. He, however, decried of poor terrain and communication gaps as some of their challenges. Ngusau, Zara Omusa, NTA News.
Lagos is our first port of call, with Dotun standing by with stories making the rounds in Lagos and the environs. Hello, Dotul. How is Lagos today, especially with the opening of the third mainland bridge?
Beautiful. Free flow of traffic has returned to the third mainland bridge on Monday after it was opened to the public on Sunday evening. Some road users say they expect a better contingency plan by the authorities when maintenance on the bridge commences in December. Paul Omukago tells us more.
The opening of the third mainland bridge is a big relief to motorists and other road users in Lagos. The bridge was closed to traffic for 3 days for integrity tests. Federal Controller of Works, Adedamola Kuti, who briefed the media prior to the opening of the bridge, says repair works will follow after analysis of the test result.
The work will actually start when the level of water will have gone down, because this is the peak of the rainy season and the thing is very high.
It just demonstrates what is possible when the different organs and agencies of government work together.
Meanwhile, a cross-section of the Lagos motoring public are of the view that the entire bridge should not be closed when proper work on the bridge commences later in the year.
It was uncomfortable for every one of us, but now they repaired, it's okay.
Yes, and they open now? It's okay as they open the bridge now because everybody was passing, they are going freely.
By the time they will start the repairing, I think one side should be closed, while the other side should be to and fro.
Yeah, once we are replacing the expansion joints, it's going to be partial closure. We are only going to close sections of the bridge.
Traffic generally is smooth on the entire stretch of the third mainland bridge and adjoining roads.
The usual free flow of traffic on the third mainland bridge is back after the bridge was opened to traffic following the completion of the integrity test on the bridge. In Lagos, Paul Omukago, NTA News.
Technology-assisted learning, otherwise known as online education or e-learning, is gradually catching on among Nigerians and speedily gaining wide acceptance, particularly among those who choose to work while studying. Jane Ojuku in this report seeks to know why the shift in preference, plus the pros and cons of online education.
With the rapid internet penetration in Nigeria, coupled with the lingering inadequate spaces in the nation's tertiary institutions to accommodate the growing number of admission seekers, more candidates are embracing alternative learning, which the online education provides. Unlike the conventional means of schooling, which allows for live face-to-face interaction between teachers and students within a physical structure, online education is delivered and administered using the internet. Livinus Nweke is a master's degree holder. He got his second degree in computer science through an online program.
The beauty of online studies was that it allowed me to continue my work while studying for my degree.
Though the National Universities Commission, NUC, has, through accreditation, continued to expand the number of courses that can be undertaken online, some courses have remained exclusive to the conventional mode of learning.
In Nigeria, we don't do medicine or law online, but the National Open University does it. But they have a problem with the Council of Legal Education. They cannot do your service, and also they cannot go to law school, so they cannot become lawyers.
Apart from the cognitive development of students, effective and psychomotor development also help in ensuring that well-rounded individuals worthy in character and learning are produced upon graduation. How feasible is it to achieve this in an online mode?
Because there is no social interaction. Because social interaction is very, very important to development, and then it doesn't allow a teamwork.
Online education, no doubt, is relatively new when compared with the conventional mode of learning, and considering Nigerians' disposition to any shift in paradigm, one might wonder how valid and acceptable the certificates obtained from online education are.
The same course materials, the same examination that they took. So the standard is the same.
But Livinus, who is now about to start his doctorate degree, says he found it difficult to gain admission for his master's degree in Nigeria just because his certificate, in which he made a 2-1, was gotten from an online program. He secured admission in a first-grade school in Italy and made a first class in his master's in a record time of 2 years against the normal 3 years duration, making Nigeria proud in Italy. He is currently being wooed by a globally recognized ICT firm, but he insists that he wants to secure his doctorate degree and come back to lecture in Nigeria. Observers are of the opinion that online education has come to stay, as it is the future of education not only in Nigeria but globally. They, however, urged the National Universities Commission to be more circumspect to ensure that rules are adhered to and standard of education maintained. In Lagos, Jane Ojukwu, NTA News.
These are the top stories from Lagos at this hour. It's back to you, Kene, in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Dotun. This is NTA Nationwide. We now go for commercial break. Stay with us.
Speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom. Peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Continuous voter registration in the country is the focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week. How far was the exercise nationwide? All the issues with relevant key players on NTA Tuesday Live. It promises to be educative and informative. Don't miss it.
For years, the NTA has been promoting science, technology, arts and crafts under the tagged name National Children's Expo. We are set with another edition as we gather children around Nigeria, junior category ages 6 to 12 and senior category ages 13 to 18. The theme for Expo 2018, achieving self-sufficiency in agriculture, meeting the challenges of security and exposition of alternative energy as pathways to national development. Date, October 21st to 25th, 2018. Venue, NTA Headquarters Arena, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. We are set to celebrate the best of innovation across the country. For more information, please call the following numbers. NTA ETV, promoting learning.
Yeah, Modena. Do you have amala? Yes. And amala. Yes, sir. Black or white? Yamala. Have I ever eaten white amala here before? Give me amala and amala. Do you have dodo? Dodo 2 grams. Good. Let me have some dodo. I want you to put the meat in a bowl. Shaki, suku, abodi. I like my edo to be very tender. You have stockfish? Yes, sir. Good. Let's have some stockfish. And the catfish, my favorite. Don't mind them. You have eggs. I would like 6 boiled eggs. No eggs. But catfish will do. And then rice. Rice and then some salmon. Look. Do you have a guru?
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Nationwide. Flood victims continue to receive succor as NEMA donates relief materials. Details of these and more with Rukaya in our Kaduna Network Center. It's over to you, Rukaya.
Thank you, Kene, and welcome to Kaduna Network Center. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has presented relief materials to Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency for onward distribution to the recent flood victims in the state. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachkun reports that although the flood is receding in the affected areas, some displaced persons are still taking shelter in temporary camps.
Few days ago, areas such as Kigo Road, Ungwaromi, Ungwarimi, Rigasa, and Cow Bridge, all in Kaduna metropolis, experienced flood following torrential rains. River Kaduna overflowed its bank, displacing many people living along the plains.
Though for the past 3 days, 4 days now, we have been outside hanging around. Though we are just waiting for the water to come down.
I lost many things. Like my foodstuff, my fridge, they are all inside the electronic, they are inside water.
We received warning now, so we don't have anywhere to go to now. It's our house, so we can't run and leave our home.
NEMA's Director Search and Rescue, Air Commodore Okube Iyamu, led officials of the agency and those of the Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency on an on-the-spot assessment before the presentation of relief materials.
It was really devastating, very, very devastating, and it really requires quick intervention and solution.
In respect to the dredging, we are compiling our reports and we'll send in our reports to our governor, whom I know will look deep into it.
The Director Search and Rescue advised those living in flood-prone areas to relocate to safer grounds to mitigate the effects of the flood. In Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachkun, NTA News.
Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai has asked eligible voters in Kaduna State who are yet to register or collect their permanent voters card (PVC) to leverage on the ongoing exercise to enable them vote the right candidate come 2019 general elections. The governor gave the charge during a meeting with APC stakeholders in Igabi and Kaduna South local government areas. Muhammad Umar Ajinki completes the report.
Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai
says record has shown that a number of permanent voter cards are lying fallow at the INEC offices, with few people claiming theirs, a situation he described as unhealthy for the success of democratic governance in Nigeria, and therefore appealed to the residents of the two local government areas to come forward and collect their PVCs. He reiterated that government has no intention of imposing any candidate on the electorate, noting that the beauty of democracy is allowing people's voice to be heard.
We will allow people to make their choice.
Before departing, the governor inspected a road which the people demanded for its quick completion. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
The federal government says it remains committed to meeting the power needs of Nigerians, warning contractors handling power projects to complete them on time or face revocation. Executive Director, Administration and Finance of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, Isa Ahmed Duze, stated this while inspecting ongoing Muhammad Kazauri tells us more.
The 132 kVA Gagara transmission station was awarded about 3 years ago to reduce the burden of electricity distribution on Duse and Hadeja transmission stations, but work is still moving at low pace. Executive Director, Administration and Finance Isa Ahmad Duse said Transmission Company of Nigeria will not tolerate laxity on the part of any contractor who fails to meet up with the terms of the contract agreement.
The contractor doesn't seem to be very serious. Nothing seems to be done on site. The percentage of the completion of this job may be just about 15 to 20%.
General Manager, Kaduna Region of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, I.L. Alim, said the project is expected to be completed in October this year. However, currently the work executed is below 50%, as only staff quarters and control room have been completed. The team inspected the transformers to be installed. When completed, the transmission station is expected to serve 7 nearby local government areas of Jigawa State. From Duse, Awal Muhammad Kazauri, NTA News.
That's our contribution on Nationwide from Kaduna Network Center. It's back to Kene in Abuja for more stories on Nationwide.
Thank you, Rukaya. The All Progressives Congress APC says the attention of the party has been drawn to a purported membership registration website of the party, trending on social media, describing it as unauthorized and a scam. A statement by the National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Yekini Nabena, stated that a fake website is purportedly sponsored by one of the main opposition political parties. The statement urges the teaming supporters and members to take advantage of the ongoing continuous nationwide membership registration exercise in all states and the Federal Capital Territory to register as fresh members or revalidation of existing membership to get the party's permanent membership cards. In another development, the All Progressives Congress APC has urged the electorate to resist desperate politicians and their political parties bent on deploying illegal, undemocratic and sinister means, including violence, to manipulate the 2019 general elections. A statement signed by the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Yekini Nabena, says this is against the backdrop of the recent seizure of Nigerian-bound ship detained in South Africa for carrying arms and explosives. The statement says this is a red flag security agencies must note and be alert to as political activities heighten in the lead-up to the coming elections. The APC urges the opposition to wake up to new realities where voters count and the people's will prevail in elections. It also admonishes all well-meaning Nigerians to support ongoing progressive efforts by the President Buhari-led APC administration to ensure that elections are transparent, free, fair, and credible. Peaceful coexistence paves the way for national development, unity and growth. Likewise, sustaining peace can be achieved through prayers. This is the view of Bishop Juanita Wendo, founder, Life Savers Ambassadors, who convened a one-day prayer service in Nigeria, all for Nigeria here in Abuja.
Totally, we have come short of your glory. I believe in the progress of this nation, and I know Nigeria still remains the best nation. And because people are praying, this nation will not collapse.
The event, which featured family prayers and high praise, has as its theme, "The land must be healed." Enugu State Governor inaugurates Southeast Committee on Health. Let's join Chinenya in Enugu for details of these and other stories.
Thank you, Kene, and welcome to Enugu. The Southeast Governors Forum has inaugurated its Consultative Committee on Health as one of the thematic areas of priority for development of the zone. Inaugurating the 12-member committee comprising commissioners of health of 5 states of the zone, the Enugu State Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi said the body will harmonize health-related issues and activities in the zone. Ijomu Gweke reports.
Inaugurating the committee members, the governor, represented by the deputy, Mrs. Cecilia Ezilo, noted that the tasks before them include to mobilize and strengthen traditional, religious and community-based institutions for health improvement through the promotion of a sustained healthcare system in the zone.
It is obvious from the foregoing terms that the committee is saddled with enormous and challenging responsibilities. I'm, however, confident that the members of the committee are proudly and properly equipped in terms of knowledge, experience, acumen, and diligence.
The Director General, Southeast Governors Forum, Professor Simon Otuanya, said the focus of the committee is to foster regional integration, accelerated economic development of the region, and also seek partnership with donor agencies with the aim of actualizing of its thematic objective in the health sector. Responding on behalf of the committee members, the chairman and dean, Faculty of Clinical Medicine, ESU Teaching Hospital, Enugu, commended the Southeast governors for giving healthcare delivery a pride of place.
I wish to express our gratitude for that identification. Also looking at the composition of the team that you are letting this responsibility on. I thank them for accepting to serve.
Other members of the committee include Secretary of the Committee, Chinedu Enemo, and Commissioner for Health, Dr. Fintan Ekochin, among others. In Enugu, Ijomu Gweke, NTA News.
Stakeholders in the healthcare industry in Enugu State have met to examine tax shifting and tax sharing policy in the state. Amechi Pius reports that the forum is against the backdrop of inadequate healthcare providers in the state, with its attendant implications on the sector.
This interactive forum was basically to examine ways of ensuring government policy on tax sharing and tax shifting aimed at providing the people with access to good health care. Discussions by participants identified inadequate health providers, insufficient funding, and unskilled professionals as some of the problems stifling the effective implementation in the state.
We cannot achieve, we can't do it except we involve all these people in an integrated fashion. A health worker workforce ecosystem implosion where doctors are against nurses, nurses are against community health workers, are help Nigeria.
Stakeholders agree that it is important to profile the entire workforce in the health sector, identify areas of specialization and competencies, as well as promote training and retraining of personnel for effective coverage to address the various health challenges, especially at the grassroots level.
A proper sensitization, mobilization of stakeholders and policymakers at all levels, and then there should be capacity development. The extent of the training, is it clinical based? Is it clinical based? Is it delivery based? Is it maternal care based? Clinical based? Because that's what we're saying.
They feel that some of them are not being carried along, and they're bringing up issues that hitherto we didn't really know about. And then hopefully, since the Ministry of Health are here, NGOs are here, everybody involved, they're all here, we can chart a clearer path going forward when it comes to this particular policy.
The dialogue was an initiative of the South Saharan Social Development Organization on tax sharing and tax shifting policy, introduced by government in 2014. In Enugu, Amechi Pius, NTA.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it is targeting over 2 million eligible voters ahead of the 2019 general elections. Ikechukwu Ndukwe reports that voters in Aba, Abia State are in last-minute rush to register before the deadline.
In the extension of deadline for the registration of the permanent voters card PVC, most centers in Aba North and South are witnessing increase of eligible voters who sometimes defy rains to queue for the registration exercise. The impressive turnout of voters, INEC says, is because of intensive campaign, which drastically reduced the level of apathy. For voters, the extension is a welcome development to ensure more voters register.
It wasn't all that difficult because I came very early.
But the first day I came here, about two days back, it was slow. They said it's machine issue, but since we came today, things have been moving.
It's going normal. Only that a lot of people have been here. There's only one person, the Alex sent here.
Abia State Resident Electoral Commissioner Dr. Joseph Ilo, while commending Abians for the impressive turnout of voters, called on politicians to play politics without bitterness. He said the Commission has taken the registration exercise to the doorsteps of the unreached, including offices.
I want to use this medium to appeal to the good people of Abia State to please key into the concept of politics without bitterness.
The INEC boss hinted that election timetable had been pasted with presidential and National Assembly election coming up on the 16th February 2019, while gubernatorial and state assembly comes up on the 2nd of March 2019. In Aba, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Enugu. Kene, it's back to you in Abuja for more on Nationwide. Good evening.
Thank you, Chinenye. Of course, you're still watching NTA Nationwide. Time now for another break. More reports after it.
In Nigeria is growing at a horrendous rate.
There are so many women that have pushed out of their marriage because of this breast cancer.
If we don't get the assistance that we require, less help will be rendered and more patients will die. It is not a disease that's going to go away in Nigeria, so it needs to be addressed.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA. When you hear that sound, you know that Nigeria's most authentic newscast is about to begin. NTA Network News, breaking the news for over 40 years.
Welcome back. President Muhammadu Buhari says an initiative on dairy farming being championed by the Kingdom of Denmark and the Kaduna State government would go a long way in curbing clashes between herders and farmers in the country. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this at the State House, Abuja, while bidding farewell to the ambassador of the Kingdom of Denmark, Mr. Torben Getterman, who is proceeding on retirement. Special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, in a statement said that under the arrangement, the Danish government will bring investors into the country through its agriculture councillor, while the Kaduna state government will provide initial infrastructure and funding. Ambassador Getterman noted that the plan was to have 1,000 families of herdsmen with 12,000 herds of cattle in a location with veterinary attention, schools for the children as they generate as a small community. The Danish company, on the other hand, will buy the milk of the cattle farmers. The pilot project is expected to start in Kaduna and will be extended to other locations as it becomes commercially viable. Now, the federal government has released the list of 69 ongoing projects in the southeastern parts of the country. In a statement issued by the Information and Culture Minister, signed by Shegu Adeyemi, Special Assistant to the Minister, Lai Mohammed said though the projects were awarded before the advent of this administration, they were weighed down by poor funding or not funded at all. Hence, the work lingered for this long. Anthony Folson has the breakdown.
This has never had so good in the area of infrastructure. And the previous administrations don't even have of what we are doing now in that region. No one will be complaining today. It's all right for the Southeast to ask for more, but it is unfair of them to say nothing has been done.
The Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, listed the projects spread across the 5 southeastern states and their contractual sums, saying Abia State has 12 projects ranging from construction, rehabilitation, and emergency repairs. It will go up to the sum of over 107 billion naira. In Anambra, there are 18 ongoing projects. It will go up to the sum of Ebonyi has 4 ongoing projects that will cost the federal government about 18 billion naira, while Enugu has 22 ongoing projects. It will cost the federal government over 387 billion naira. In Imo State, there are 11 ongoing projects which will cost the federal government over 159 billion naira. The minister said the federal government is also looking into possibilities of investing part of the recovered looted funds into the development of infrastructure across the country. In Abuja, Anthony Folson, NTA News.
More than 25,000 additional poor and vulnerable households in Kano State have been enrolled into the conditional cash transfer program embarked by the federal government. This brought the number of beneficiaries from 19 to 40,000. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that a team of enumerators went round the selected areas under the program to register the beneficiaries.
The Conditional Cash Transfer Program, which commenced 2 years ago, is part of President Muhammadu Buhari's campaign promise in 2015 to assist vulnerable and poor persons in the society. In Kano, out of the 44 local government areas of the state, 15 were selected for pilot scheme. From November 2017 to June 2018, 19,088 vulnerable households have benefited from 10,000 naira each cash transfer. The additional of 25,359 households were so far enrolled in the state. NTA News visited Kamfewa and Zangunkudu villages in Garumala local government area where the beneficiaries were captured for the exercise. Aisha Sani Gezawa is the head unit of the program in Kano State.
During the first enrollment, Garumalam, we were able to enroll only 43 beneficiaries that are benefiting from this program. But with the current development that we see from NASCU, the total number of the households in this local government is 2,900 and 754 poor and vulnerable households. And we thank the national coordinator because it is with high effort that we were able to rise to this level.
Earlier, 170 facilitators were trained on modern techniques to carry out the re-enrollment exercise successfully. From Kano, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
The federal government has restated its determination to address infrastructural deficits, especially road networks, so as to stimulate economic growth and development. Rayanu Bala reports that the Minister of State, Power, Works and Housing, Mustafa Baba Shehuri, said this at the flag-off of rehabilitation work on Mayo Belwa, Jada, Ganye, Tunga Road.
The 112-kilometer Mayo-Belwa-Jada Ganye Tongo Road that has been neglected for years has exposed people of the area to a lot of difficulty, thereby affecting their socio-economic well-being. The flag-off of the rehabilitation work, which is to cost over 22 billion naira with completion period of 36 months, has rekindled the hope of the people of safety of their lives on the road. The Minister of State, Power, Works and Housing, Mustafa Baba Shehuri, said it is one of the mandates of the present administration to ensure people have access to their farms and economic activities improved, hence the construction and rehabilitation of roads across the country.
It is also expected to tremendously improve the socio-economic well-being of the people, generate employment opportunity for both skilled and unskilled labor. In 1996, Buhari a matsayinsa na chairman na PTF ya ba da gyaran hanyar nan. Yau shekara 22 ba a sake komai akan wannan hanya ba.
Governor Muhammad Umar Jibrilla and representatives of people in the area thanked President Muhammadu Buhari for considering the road for rehabilitation, which is strategic to the development of the state. In Yola, Rayanu Bala, NTA News.
And now to sports, where Niger Flickers lead at National Hockey Super League in Abuja as tennis stars compete season's last Grand Slam. Amanzi Marcus has more sports update.
The 2018 National Hockey Super League enters Day 4 on Tuesday at the Package B section of the Abuja National Stadium.